Yeah. So, so we'll just wait for a couple of minutes before a few more participants join in.
Mm-hmm. Are we able to see how many people are on?
Yeah. Can you see a counter down?
Yeah, I think I've got a different display. I've just got live and myself and you.
So, so the Inbound Mantra team and HubSpot team are here to begin the webinar. So, so the Inbound Mantra team and HubSpot team are here to begin the. Sorry, I think we just wait for a couple of more minutes to get some more attendees into the webinar.
Mm-hmm.
So the YouTube Hangout on live is interesting. So we could see 20 watching now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Interesting data.
Yeah, how are people actually going to ask their questions later?
So there is essentially a comment box on the right-hand side.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have, these guys are already excited. There is Amal who's saying, good luck, guys, excited. Muditi of the day. Hi, guys. I don't know if you're able to hear us well, but really thrilled that you could post such encouraging messages. We are super excited too. And we have a special guest across a few C's, and I'm going to sort of introduce her in a few moments.
Sorry, it just dropped out.
Yeah, so the way to sort of put in some questions while I will sort of announce as the webinar begins, but yes, your chat window should allow you to sort of post questions and we will take those on at the end of the webinar. So it's 7:03 and we're going to wait for just a couple of more minutes to get more attendees.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, can the attendees who are in sort of mention through comments if you can hear us well?
Testing.
Voice is clear. Thank you. Okay. So, so let's begin.
Okay.
All right. Hi, everyone. How was your day? My name is Raj. I lead the Inbound Mantra team. The same team that has been ruthlessly emailing you to make sure that you carry yourself to this webinar. And the guy who's been really responsible for arranging this webinar together is Anubhav, who's sitting next to me. So I'm really, really proud that he could sort of put this together. You may be attending this webinar from your home, office, or maybe you are stuck in traffic. Wherever you are, we are really happy that you could be here. I cannot tell you how excited I am. So welcome to Careers in Inbound Marketing, a webinar jointly hosted by Inbound Mantra and HubSpot. I'm grateful to the HubSpot team for agreeing to participate in our maiden initiative to spread the message of inbound marketing in India. And I'm really thrilled. So joining me from Singapore is Miss Katrina Too, and she is the regional marketing manager for strategy operations at HubSpot. She's based in the HubSpot Asia Pacific headquarters in Singapore. Um, she develops go-to-market strategy for emerging markets such as India and drives campaigns to improve conversion metrics in these countries. Katrina previously was a product marketing manager at TradeGecko, a B2B SaaS startup company, who also happened to be a happy HubSpot customer. Just before this webinar, I was chatting with her about India, and she was very, very excited. And she was telling me how HubSpot is still learning about the opportunity of inbound marketing in India. So you guys have essentially the right person to send your questions to. So the way we're going to sort of conduct this webinar today would be in a Q&A format, when I'll be asking a few questions to Katrina, and she would sort of put in some responses, and the Inbound Mantra team will sort of bring together some perspectives that we have had from the India market. So I would like to sort of pass over the conversation to Katrina, and if she could sort of say hi to you, and she could start by answering the question as to what is inbound marketing.
Hi, everyone. So I joined HubSpot 3 months ago as a regional marketing manager looking after go-to-market strategy for emerging markets like India. My day-to-day involves speaking to our sales reps to better understand how the conversations are going with our prospects and what resources they need from marketing to help them better sell to a customer. So right now my focus is primarily on India for the next 3 to 6 months. It's a very big market for us here in APAC. We have never actively gone in to run any campaigns or worked with any local partners on the region, but we're super excited to do so. I got here through, so my degree was actually in marketing, and I got into technology probably 4 years ago when I was working in London for a marketing trade association. So when I was at the Marketing Trade Association in the UK, we were working with the top advertising agencies and brands like Google, Microsoft, etc., on developing white papers, creating marketing awards, events, etc. So I got to see a lot of the different channels, from mobile all the way down to email marketing companies such as MailChimp, all the way down to search marketing companies like Google. And from there, I really focused a lot more on technology, marketing technology companies, rather than traditional direct mail and such. So after that, I actually went back to Australia, and I co-founded an education technology company with a previous business partner, and that was looking at international students applying to universities abroad. So we had a good run for about 12 months, and then I moved to Singapore to join a software company that was a HubSpot customer as their product marketing manager. And as their product marketing manager, I did a lot of what I currently do, which is develop go-to-market strategy for the company in specific industries and regions that we would commit to sort of going into. So the company was an inventory management software company, and there were, in a software company, you typically have a sales team that's inbound and somewhat outbound. So outbound would be a sales team that's calling and finding potential customers to call out to. The inbound sales team would be taking our list of leads to better understand which ones they should be calling. So these are inbound leads that have come from the content we've produced, which is typically by the marketing team. So that was about a 100-person company, and what I was really doing was developing personas for the company to be attracting. So helping sales teams better understand who it is that they were on the phone with, which personas they were talking to, and which personas to prioritize. And that led me to joining HubSpot 3 months ago to do a very similar thing for emerging markets. So I'm super excited to be here speaking to one of our, bigger agency partners in India. So yeah, super exciting to be here.
Thanks for that, Katrina. And would you like to also share about HubSpot, the story of HubSpot, and how they have been the pioneer for inbound marketing?
Yep. So I don't know if many people know, but HubSpot started off as a blog, and it was started by our founder. Our two founders are Brian and Damesh, and HubSpot was really HubSpot created the word inbound. So you had Damesh that was blogging 10 years ago about the word inbound and the methodology of inbound marketing, which is basically the way you attract customers that are going to fit with your business is if you organically produce relevant content that attracts people reading them, that's feeling that pain at that right time, and they're actually searching a solution to solve that pain at that same time. Instead of sort of like reaching out to someone that you really don't know at all and sending them a piece of your content that is not even relevant at that point in time. So yeah, HubSpot actually started as a blog maybe 10 to 12 years ago. And what the blog found was there was a lot of traction in people wanting to understand how to organically attract people without needing to spam them via email, etc. So yeah, the company is a good 10 years old. We listed on the New York Stock Exchange in 2014, and the biggest sort of pivot in the company was when they acquired a number of companies 2 years before we went public, and that was the biggest pivot because it allowed us to focus a lot more on deep technology and developing this massive sales and marketing software that we have now.
Okay, thanks. So, so I think a good background about HubSpot's history and how it is. How is HubSpot thinking about inbound going forward, Katrina?
So I think inbound going forward is less about marketing, but also incorporating sales for the company. So our annual conference, which normally attracts 18 to 20,000 people, just happened 2 weeks ago in Boston. And that conference, through that conference, we released a whole suite of new products in both the marketing and sales space. So I'm not sure if people know here, but HubSpot has a free CRM that we have managed to attract a lot of leads through. The CRM is free, but we've also recently rolled out a whole suite of sales products to help sales teams work more effectively amongst one another, but also to help organizations work more cohesively through what we call the growth stack. The growth stack is both the marketing and sales portion of the business that we offer, the offerings that we offer. So we offer a whole bunch of different types of products as well, from free products to light products to enterprise offerings. But a lot of it is to provide the customer with a seamless experience. So when a salesperson sees a new lead come in that marketing has provided them, not only the marketing team uses HubSpot to generate those leads, the sales team will also use HubSpot Sales to look at those leads, to see what they've done with the company, how they have contacted the company, and to then convert and close them within the same interface. So I think inbound for us as a company is to really integrate both the functions together. So we use a term at HubSpot called smarketing, where we combine sales and marketing. Yeah.
So, so does that mean that students or professionals who are looking at inbound as a career, they need to sort of develop an orientation to marketing and sales both?
I think, okay, to be completely honest, if you don't have a marketing candidate applying for a sales job, and nor would you have a sales candidate applying for a marketing job, but it is absolutely essential to have a really good idea about both functions. I hear a lot of the time that people ask, isn't sales the same as marketing? Isn't marketing the same as sales? They're completely different. And which is more important, they're always asking. The point is that both functions are extremely important, and both functions need to work together. It is not the job, the sole job of marketing to send leads. Marketing needs to communicate that to sales, and if sales is not getting the right types of leads, they need to communicate that back to marketing in order for marketing to provide better quality leads. So I think the two functions are very different. And I mean, with a sales job description, your skills are extremely applicable in any industry. And I see a lot of recruitment people going into sales jobs. As for marketing, I did a marketing degree 6 years ago. I graduated from one 6 years ago. And the content there is so irrelevant to what we're learning now. The 4 Ps are still relevant, but everything can be self-learned in marketing today. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, so the guys who have just joined in, we are about to actually get into this discussion about why to pursue a career in inbound marketing. But before I take that question to Katrina, I just wanted to sort of ask you, today there must be some attendees who may either be in a sales role or a marketing role. How would you, and you could perhaps narrate story from your own career, how they should be thinking about, taking their career forward, if they are in sales or they are in marketing?
I think first you need to understand your options in the country that you're in. So I am actually Australian, but I was born in Malaysia and I've worked in London. And the job opportunities in each country are so different. Previously, I've come from a product marketing background, and there are very little product marketing roles in Singapore. So instead, I think the first step is to really understand what types of jobs are there in the country that you're in. And then the second step would be to speak to at least 10 people in the roles that you aspire to dabble into. Take them out for coffee, have a 30-minute chat to better understand what their scope is, what their challenges are within that role, and what keeps them going day to day with that, or what's the thing that they hate the most. Like, you need to have a really firm grip about the types of roles that are available that you're interested in. And then third, you just have to look at directly applying to them and giving that a shot. But I think if you're not doing your research about the types of roles that are available at each company, it's probably not going to be very productive when you get to an interview stage.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. So, so let's talk about why pursue a career in inbound marketing, and you could sort of talk from your own experience. But Inbound Mantra being one of the frontline teams for inbound marketing in India, we have had our fair share of challenges in essentially hiring team members for an inbound marketing role. And whenever we have gone to B schools, essentially we have seen the orientation towards inbound marketing per se missing, and there is this lot of confusion about marketing and sales, and things are really not clear, on the B school side. And does this sort of really indicate that inbound marketing is essentially a very sunrise career, like maybe a DJ or a celebrity chef, or I don't know, a president of America? But, is an inbound marketing essentially a sunrise career? And what would your suggestion be to candidates who may be looking at it?
I think a lot of the time, you don't need to be looking for the job title inbound marketing specialist, because in marketing today is already somewhat inbound. So a lot of the time, that word is not even placed in front of the word marketing. From what I've seen coming from a startup background, there is a large skill set gap in, for example, a content strategist. Let's just say a lead nurturing manager. A lot of people do not, they've come from an SEO background. They come from, let's say, a paid ads background. But I think in Singapore especially, we are seeing a big need for someone who doesn't just understand how to blog, but also how to strategically plan out their blogging campaign. So I think even with HubSpot as a tool, at my previous company, the marketing team learned a lot through using a tool like HubSpot. HubSpot as a software forced our team to think in the matter of strategically setting up campaigns with goals. So I would say more traditional companies planned campaigns without having the pressure of having every part of the funnel being tracked. So you'll definitely see this role being titled more as a growth marketing marketer. So inbound is very, very much growth focused. It's about understanding that everything you're doing, you're meant to launch a campaign and incrementally improve it. That's the methodology of inbound and growth. In the traditional sense, marketers would wait 6 months to develop the best campaign and then launch it at like a very, very large budget. But that's not the case for inbound. Inbound is about revealing a part of your company, whether it's a content piece, etc., and slowly refining it over time. The more you understand your market. So as an inbound marketer, you have the skill set of being very experimental and without having to blow large budgets. So any company would want someone with that growth experimental mindset these days.
So, so why should candidates pursue a career in inbound marketing?
I think there are a lot of jobs out there that are looking for inbound marketing specialists as well, because it is a real skill gap issue. It would be the same as asking me, why should my child study software engineering? Yeah. In this country as well, there's a lot of grants that are available to upskill in digital marketing and inbound marketing, which they group to be the same, because like I've mentioned, inbound marketing today is considered digital marketing, at least in this region. So I'd say there's a lot of incentives because digital marketers 3 years ago, the companies expect a whole lot of different skill sets from them today. PPC and all that worked back then, but I think today it's a whole new skill set you're thinking about. You're thinking about a funnel, and the funnel is a content funnel. And how do you bring in people organically and measure how much you're spending all the way down to converting them to customer and understanding how much you're spending on someone. So I think companies at all sizes would love to have that transparency around how much you're spending at every stage. And your skill set as an inbound marketer is both analytical, creative, and practical.
Sure.
Yeah. And it's very applicable to running your own business as well. Yeah, so I've seen a lot of ex-colleagues or even friends in the inbound marketing space that are running side projects in e-commerce, etc., because they understand how a consumer funnel works in that sense. Yeah.
Right. And I'll just give you some of the things that we have learned from the India market. So, the reason why, why anybody should pursue a career in inbound marketing, actually, you can look at it in two ways. One is the sheer opportunity, and you're right that today, the way people buy today is very different from how they bought, say, 10 years ago or 15 years ago. I don't think there are people who buy without really, going to Google or asking friends on social media or, taking some reviews from WhatsApp, etc. So I think, and the businesses are not able to yet comprehend this very well. And, which is why it becomes, it's an opportunity for, young students, young professionals to actually make a career in the space of inbound marketing. So that is one side. The second part essentially is inbound marketing is a whole new world. It's actually more like a philosophy. And, if you are someone who would like to sort of start something of your own sometime, inbound marketing essentially is at the core of doing a lean startup concept, wherein customer validation is really, really key to drive business forward. So there are two perspectives as to why a career in inbound marketing is something that young professionals should sort of look at. We're getting some comments on on the right hand side. So I just wanted to sort of highlight here to the audience is that starting 7:35, 7:40, we'll start taking all your questions and we'll cover all of them and answer as much as we can. So please bear with us till about 7:40. Kat, over to you. I mean, what is a typical role of an inbound marketer? And if you could also share about some things as to how HubSpot does it with internally.
Sure. So at HubSpot, we've always had roles that are separated according to the consumer funnel. So our marketing team is about over 110 people globally.
Mm-hmm.
And regionally, we have greater scope because we're much newer offices. So for example, I can give you an example, like in Singapore, there are two marketers, myself and one of my colleagues, who are looking after India and Southeast Asia. And in Sydney, I have 8 colleagues in marketing who are looking after ANZ. All of us have somewhat different scopes. So my colleague develops a lot of the top of the funnel content that is responsible for acquiring customers from the region. So the way we hire for marketing as well or any function, is extremely methodical. So before a headcount is placed in a function, we need to understand why the headcount should be there. So understanding that, having the first person set up the Singapore office, having them generate enough leads and generate those leads for our sales team, are we able then to develop a sales team and headcount within that sales team? Similarly, for the second marketer, I only joined 3 months after the first marketer because he had already built the foundations of the funnel. So when he set up our initial branding and content for that region, then do we get that I was then able to work from to nurture a different part of the funnel, the middle and bottom part of the funnel, which is when prospects are already subscribers in your database, and you need to be nurturing them and understanding more about them to then send to your sales teams. So like in HubSpot, everyone has a specific area that they're more comfortable with working on. Whether it's in content generation, or whether it's in lead nurturing, or whether it's in directly helping and sitting in with sales representatives to help close a customer call, potential customer call. Yeah.
So I'm going to quickly share about what an inbound marketer usually does at Inbound Mantra when working with clients. And so an inbound marketer essentially is the soul of any client engagement that we sort of take up, and it usually starts with strategy and execution. And the way it is done is fairly simple, and and sometimes we make it feel very complicated, but it is actually very, very simple. So any inbound marketer, when dealing with a particular client or an account, has to first ask the question as to what is your goal. And clients usually can easily point out that, hey, I have a revenue goal of doing $1 million every month and stuff like that. So that $1 million essentially converts into some number of customers. So let's take one customer. So essentially, from the problem of doing $1 million a month, it boils down to a problem of getting one customer every month. So once that one customer is pointed out, then you build the inbound marketing funnel, which is essentially how many number of leads do you need to actually get one customer, which is 10. And to get 10 leads, assuming a 1% conversion rate on your website, you need to have about 1,000 visitors. And so the So the way you solve the problem for the client is to get one $1 million account every month. You need to just get in 1,000 visitors on your website. I mean, yeah, that sounds simple, but the way you go about getting those 1,000 visitors is that you broadly have three channels like search, social media, and email. So this inbound marketer would create strategies in terms of search engine optimization, Google AdWords, Bing campaigns, display campaigns, etc., to get some number out of that 1,000 from search. And then, so suppose let's take 500 out of search. And then he or she would go on to say social media, go to Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, run campaigns there, and then get visitors to the website. So let's take, say, 200. And then they would go to email saying, okay, I have a gap of 300. Can I do prospecting on email to get that visitors? And that's how you sort of fill the funnel and deliver, on the client's expectations. And so, which is why, the inbound marketer needs to know how to do SEO, understand keywords, do business blogging. He should really be good at content writing, understanding personas, knowing social media, and also be very clever in doing copy, so that the right messaging is sort of passed on to the buyer personas. So that's essentially, the typical role of an inbound marketer. Uh, Katrina, would you like to add any to that?
Yeah, so that's completely right. And at HubSpot, actually, even if you are in other functions besides marketing, we have an internal university that we have to sort of be enrolled in units. So modules, like first module can be SEO, second module is like email campaigns, third module can be anything else within our sort of inbound methodology that we have to be passing a test on in order to become a new hire at HubSpot. So even if you're in the support or if you're an account manager for a customer at HubSpot, you're basically an inbound marketer to some extent. So yeah, all of us at HubSpot, even if we're not executing on campaigns and doing what an inbound marketing person would do, we all have an idea of the different functions of inbound.
Okay. So, so one of the ways, most of the viewers on this webinar today are from India, and one of the ways they go about skilling themselves for inbound or digital or PPC, AdWords, stuff like that, essentially is to take up certifications given out by third parties. And while there is very little sort of, while there is very little sort of relation to in terms of employability and acceptability in the market, what is your view about this? Are there certifications that HubSpot provides, and how would you sort of recommend that they get started with learning inbound marketing?
Sure. So I have a lot of friends in different fields as well, from finance, like lawyers, people in oil and gas. And a lot of the time they have an interest in inbound marketing, although it's nothing to do with what they've studied or what they're working in. But they wouldn't tell me, again, necessarily inbound marketing, but they're like, hey, this digital marketing stuff, like how do I figure out SEO, or how does Google work? And a lot of the time I just divert them, hey, HubSpot, the company I work for, we have a free marketing certificate. It will probably take, let's say, 6 hours of your time to go through maybe 10, 30-minute videos, and then you can do a test. I would say that's a very, very basic place you can start. It's called the Inbound Certification. And if you Google HubSpot Inbound Certification, it's a free certification that's produced by our academy. So HubSpot commits to an academy that produces learning material for both sales and marketing. Some are paid and some are free. The inbound marketing one is free, and I'd say it gives a really good overview of every part of inbound marketing. So I'd definitely start from there. I also know ex-colleagues or friends that have gone to a place like General Assembly for a course, but again, if you're sensitive about budget, or if your company is not going to be sponsoring you, that is going to look like a pretty pricey or hefty amount. I actually spoke to Pradeep from Digital Vidya today, and he was telling me a lot about his course, which is a 6-month online certification in digital marketing, where he uses inbound as the primary methodology in his classes. That's a digital video. So yeah, I mean, I definitely start at the HubSpot inbound certificate, as it's free, and it provides you with a badge on LinkedIn to say that you've completed the test and you're inbound certified.
So we'll be just going on to questions in just a bit, and I will request my colleague Anubhav to sort of ask those questions. So while he does that, I just want to know about how strongly are the HubSpot certifications accepted worldwide. How whether taking these certifications, say if Indian professionals take these certifications, when they go out, is it something that they could sort of flaunt?
Sure, I think it definitely is, but it's not going to be a primary catalyst in getting a job. Because to be honest, in about 5 years' time, that's Google AdWords certificates, or even an basic inbound knowledge is going to be expected in any industry, in the industry, especially in the technology aspect. So I would say it's more mandatory rather than going to get you ahead. You are probably preparing yourself a couple of years in advance of the rest of the cohort. But I would say if you're lacking knowledge in customer acquisition, how marketing works with sales, it's really just something very, very practical that you should own. These certificates do help in moving a conversation along, especially during an interview. Even at HubSpot, I know a bunch of my current colleagues who actually did the test just to get inbound certified before they were interviewed by HubSpot. I didn't. I did it after, but I had come from a marketing background. So these are friends that came from other industries that were applying to HubSpot. So they found that it really helped them understand the basics of inbound marketing before they spoke to a recruiter.
Cool. Before we go to questions, I just want to sort of work with you for this particular, question. What qualities make you a great inbound marketer?
So I think being a great inbound marketer is not about being a perfectionist. It's about getting started. So a lot of the time you're like, oh, I have this big grand idea, big grand plan. I need like approval from this guy, this guy, this guy. But a lot of the time with inbound, it's a lot of small tools included in a big concept. So with inbound, as an inbound marketer, your sole responsibility is to use the tools of inbound marketing to get you as quick as possible results to validate some of your assumptions. So as an inbound marketer, you have to be experimental. You have to understand that things have to start today, and it might not necessarily be executed in the best way. It will not be the best read blog post. It will not be the most beautiful infographic, but it needs to be done. So I think having that mindset of getting, like for HubSpot, one of our cultural mantras is like getting shit done, GSD. So every day it's about, we're always thinking about not just getting shit done, but impact, like how is this impacting short-term and long-term, and who is this impacting? How big is the impact? Are you doing something that is the most important today? Or are there more important things to be doing? So I think as an inbound marketer as well, you have to be able to think small and big. So thinking short-term today and thinking long-term in 3 to 6 to 12 months.
Cool. And I think one of the things that we have learned working mostly in the India market with talent here is that, if you are a good mix of creativity and if you're analytical, and if you are an introvert, maybe this is something that you could sort of shine at. And, irrespective of your qualities, another thing that we have learned is you will fail most of the times. Okay. And inbound marketing campaigns will really test patience. And when you get started on maybe an assignment or an account, I think the first 3 to 6 months are going to be really, really critical, and you will fail most of the times.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think on your analytical piece, if you have a good grasp for numbers, it will really, really help you understand how you're setting your campaigns and how you're reporting to your stakeholders. That's a very, very big part of the marketing team's function for HubSpot. Like the marketing team is extremely good at conveying and documenting their findings from their campaigns company-wide. So I think when you're an inbound marketer, you should be just as good at storytelling and delivery on results.
Nice. So why don't you elaborate on storytelling?
Elaborate on storytelling. Well, I think it's a lot to do with creativity as well, as you were mentioning. When you're writing an email campaign to a segment, I think if you're creative, it does help in the copy. You know, it's not just like, hey, I am Katrina, I'm reaching out to you again and again, and that's all I'm saying. Because to the customer, why should I read your email again? You know, it should be, for HubSpot, we use a lot of like GIFs and memes. We love to have fun with our customers. So I think storytelling is a tool to convey your ideas in a much more entertaining way. And it's a way of sort of conveying to your prospect or customer that you are not just their salesperson or not just their account manager. There's a human element to everything. So I think with HubSpot, we really emphasize a lot about customer experience. How we speak at HubSpot is very, very playful as well. If you've ever subscribed to our content, etc., it's very impersonal. It's very personal. It's very much like, hey, you know, they would make a joke about the weather, and then they would get into maybe some jokes about the politics, which is not that funny right now. But I think it's about having that humor in the way you communicate with your customers that makes it very important as an inbound marketer. Otherwise, you'd just be another spammer via email that's trying to get someone to download something.
Cool. So let's take some questions.
Mm-hmm.
So one question that we have from Avinash Dangeti, he says, I am a digital marketer, and in what way is inbound marketing different from digital marketing?
So I guess I can go first, but for us, we see that digital marketing is a concept of inbound marketing, vice versa. It's a very, very large search term in this region. Inbound marketing is a branch of digital marketing, and it's not that much different. I would say we can only explore how different it is if we talk about the day-to-day scope. But for us, we see people searching for digital marketing who actually mean they're looking for some inbound marketing automation tools. So in that sense, it's not that different. I'm not sure what it is like in India, but I know that digital marketing is a massive search term that has led people to HubSpot.
Yeah. Actually, it's used interchangeably, Avinash, and you could sort of see a few blogs on our website where we have tried to differentiate this. But the way we sort of look at this is, generally digital marketing is essentially talked in the sense of doing spends and doing some campaigns on PPC, social media, etc. But unlike digital, inbound essentially takes a goal-oriented approach, and it is not a channel-oriented approach. So if your goal is to get one customer, inbound essentially specializes in exploring all possible channels to make sure that that goal is delivered. So, so moving on to the next question. And this Vikas who's asking this, and I think you've touched upon creativity and content, but he says, how is the role of inbound divided into creativity, analytics, and consumer perception? He's essentially asking, are there more attributes to it in terms of inbound?
Sure. I think thinking customer first is what is how inbound was birthed out of anyway. So like thinking about the customer from the very beginning is already part of the methodology. So which is why we don't spam and reach out to people that we haven't actually got the contact from. Inbound is really about organically getting through to your customers when they are ready to be spoken to. So I think creativity is, I would say I've seen the best inbound marketers who don't necessarily need to be creative. Inbound marketing is about not wasting resources as we would in traditional marketing. Being analytical is definitely a bread and butter of being a good inbound marketer. But yeah, creativity is just a bonus, you know.
Yeah, and also from a behavior point of view, I think, and we can build this further. Most of the good inbound marketers are problem solvers. They will not rest till they crack a few things. They will not rest till they find a solution. They will not rest till the time they find a better way of doing things. So essentially, problem solving is, one of the key behavior traits for a good inbound marketer. Just moving on, so there is this one of the attendees. His name is Zoe Nightshade. He's fairly excited to be on this webinar. He asks, is HubSpot inbound certification really worth it for marketers who want to expand their network?
If you want to expand your network, certification is not, I would say certification is not the place to go to. If you want to expand your network, you should be going to marketing events. A lot of network expansion is face-to-face. Secondly, I know that LinkedIn is massive in India. There are marketing groups that you can join. Perhaps if there are a couple of people that you'd like to get connected to, you can reach out to them. But I think the number one thing is to give them context. Like, why are you connecting with them? I get a lot of people trying to connect as well, but which I'm always happy to help. But I think you need to set the context of that connection. Like, I want to connect with you because I've seen that you had some experience working in this particular segment. I'd love to chat more. A lot of the time, it's a lot of cold connecting that I think customers worldwide, people worldwide are fatigued about. Like, you need to create the context of your contact. So networking is all about, also respecting that this is a complete stranger and being able to introduce what your intentions are in connecting with the stranger.
Okay, cool. Just moving on, taking the next question. There is Kirti who's asking, inbound marketing and inbound sales, do they differ?
So marketing and sales are different. So inbound marketing is what helps to create inbound sales. So the things you do in inbound marketing helps to create the leads that are inbound to your sales team. So like I've mentioned before, inbound sales is when your sales team already has a pool of leads that your marketing team's campaigns generated for them. So all they have to do is sift through their lead types and start contacting. Outbound sales is when you have a team that goes through all the websites that are somewhat fit to become your customers, and then they start reaching out and cold calling these companies who have no idea who your company is.
So, sure. I'll just add a perspective here, working with some clients who are doing inbound sales. So inbound marketing essentially is about getting your market interested. And once they have shown interest and your sales team calls them. So for example, if someone has downloaded an ebook saying how to learn inbound marketing in 7 days. Okay, and maybe there is a course that this business wants to sell to this person who has downloaded. When the sales guy calls, he's not supposed to sell the course, but it is more about saying, hey, hey, Mr. Shah Rukh Khan, you downloaded this ebook, learn 7 days in learn inbound marketing in 7 days. Is there anything more that you need that we could help you learn more about inbound marketing? So when a sales guy makes a call like this, it's actually in the context of the entire inbound philosophy. So that's essentially a point from my side. Moving on and taking another question. So there is Dipansh Mittal who has a very interesting question, and I'm wondering if he's a book writer, but he says, suppose you are a book writer and you are launching your first book. How would you use inbound marketing?
So I'd say, as a writer, you would first need to build your subscriber base. And how would you use that? How would you do that? You would use a number of channels to do that. You would start blogging about towards your book launch. You should share about not just, hey, I'm going to be launching this soon, but write about a particular topic that is trending in your group or your vicinity at that time. Share that, distribute that through your social media channels that your audience is currently engaged in. If you have some budget, you can even, there's a lot of different tactics. You can also start sort of buying followers if you'd like, as a very basic way of building your following. And then you can organically build on top of your bought followers. But I'd say you should really be writing prior to your book launch, even 3 months prior. You should be writing on different topics that are relevant to your book, and then distributing that through your social networks and getting influencers to share what you've written as well. So getting people within the industry that respect, that are talking about similar things, to be including your links in their own web pages, their own websites. So yeah, using influencers in your space is a massive way of acquiring new readership. Can you hear me?
Yes. So, my point here to Dipansh essentially is that you could sort of get started with inbound marketing, but I think you should have your goals very clear. Is it, suppose you want to sell 100,000 copies of your book, and I think just work your strategy basis that. I think data is your friend when it comes to inbound marketing, and all that Kat mentioned about influencer marketing, Twitter, social media, so and so can sort of fill all the data from those channels can fill your essentially goal. Moving on, Swasti asks a question about, this is interesting. She says, for people not from a marketing background, how can they hone their inbound marketing skills other than doing the course? So she wants the easy way out. So.
Sure. I would say you need to do a lot of reading within the space. You need to be reading from marketing influencers. A couple of books that I would recommend would be Traction is one of them. But that is, a lot of my recommendations would be very much skewed to the technology space. So I think first you need to try to understand what you're trying to get into, if there a specific industry, etc., and then what tools or channels within inbound marketing are of interest to you, because there's going to be a lot of books that are amazing on content / email marketing / sales / sales and marketing, etc. So I think you really need to focus on particular areas within inbound that you'd like to know more about, and then reading up about them. There are influencers in the inbound marketing space that are known for the different areas of inbound marketing. So reading would be the first way to go.
Okay, cool. So we'll take the last question before we wind this up.
Mm-hmm.
Is inbound marketing also relevant for B2C?
Sure. So we see majority of B2B companies, but for example, I have an ex-colleague who was an inbound marketer at the previous company we were both in, and she just launched a fashion label. With the skill sets that she picked up at our previous technology startup, she was actually able to build a large subscriber list before she even launched her brand tonight actually. She launched her brand tonight, and her website actually crashed. That she created so much hype through inbound marketing leading up to her launch that her site actually crashed when she launched tonight. So I would say she started running her campaigns, including paid Facebook ads, etc. She used multiple channels, from blogging, email marketing, to her VIP list, etc., who she met from pop-up events, etc. And in the past 3 months, she's been working on a lot of inbound marketing channels that was leading up to the launch tonight. So I would say the skill set is very, very transferable. And she would have her own goals that are her target from all of these campaigns that she ran. For example, 3 months ago, she would have said, I want to build a 3,000 subscriber base prior to the launch. And how would I do that? I would use 4 channels. Let's experiment with them. All of these are inbound marketing tactics.
Okay, cool. Before we let you go, I think one question that one of my friends sent over to me was, how are inbound marketers paid? Are they paid well, or they're really paid obnoxiously?
Sure, I would definitely say that there's a skill gap for software engineers. There's also a large skill gap for like real marketers that understand the technology world. So I'd say I have friends who are running recruitment agencies focusing on data science, software engineering, and marketing. So today's type of marketing, which we consider as digital and inbound. So I'd say these, I've got friends also hiring for that space, and the ballpark figures they gave me are very, very reasonable, and they are just a startup, and they're willing to pay very, very, very generous amounts to find a very good marketer, because the skill gap is very much lacking. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to comment on the exact figure because it's different from country to country, but I'd say it's a very generous amount, especially because it's a skill gap shortage.
So would an entry level get about 75,000 US?
I'd say an entry level would get less than that, but a mid-level would get about that amount.
Okay, nice.
And by mid, I would say you're looking at a 4 to 6 year experience level.
And what about fresh graduates out of college who may have pursued a management qualification or an undergrad getting into inbound marketing?
As in, what would they be getting as a fresh grad?
A fresh grad?
I would say you're looking at least, let me do the numbers here.
Sure.
You're looking at least 36 a year. Okay. But the thing about inbound marketing is that you're able to grow very, very quickly into the role. And even here at HubSpot, like every 8 months, we really sort of assess where we're at. And we know our development plans are so clear in terms of how you progress into a better marketer every 8 months. So I think with inbound marketing, you're constantly learning and you're constantly unveiling new strategies, new tactics, either by your friends sort of unveiling to you, sharing them with you within the community, but you're constantly learning about how to do things better because consumers are changing in the way they're buying and absorbing information every day.
Sure. Okay, great. So I think with that, we'll bring the webinar to a close. I really appreciate, Katrina, that you could join in late in the evening. It's almost, sleeping time in Singapore. Really, really appreciate. I also want to thank all our patrons, our friends who sort of supported us in this maiden webinar that we have done. We're happy to, take your feedback, both good and bad, and would look forward to you to sort of guide us about what you want to see more coming out of Inbound Mantra and HubSpot that can help you hone up your skills in inbound marketing.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Inbound Mantra. And if the audience has any questions, feel free to keep the conversation going. If they need links to anything, or if they have any further questions on marketing resources, HubSpot actually has a content library that you can see examples of the types of inbound marketing material we produce. So if you just Google HubSpot resources library, you can view a whole bunch of marketing resources that were produced from the inbound marketing team. So through that, you can actually have a clear idea of what an inbound marketer would produce. For example, an on-page SEO template, a social media content calendar, etc. Just Google marketing resources library HubSpot. But yeah, if there's any way that we can help with providing more information, happy to do so.
Great. And, so the Inbound Mantra website also is a great resource to sort of learn about some of the case studies we have done on inbound marketing. And I just want to say we are also hiring, so you can look up our career section. So.
It's
Excellent.
Yeah, and good night. Thank you very much. Bye, Kat.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Bye.